for the Creative Activist Virtual Summit. I've had the pleasure of interviewing so many amazing people who uplift the human spirit and awaken social consciousness. They are role models, and they are exploring social issues through the varied lenses of art, photography, writing, blogging, and storytelling, and there are no limits. And today I'm so honored to have Emanuel Kuntzelman. He has dedicated his life to raising environmental awareness, promoting cultural understanding, and advocating for world peace. A lifelong spiritual seeker, he's the founder and president of the nonprofit organization Green Heart International. Founded in 1985 as the Center for Cultural Interchange, the organization changed its name to Green Heart in 2013 and now encompasses 4 major branches: CCI Green Heart, Green Heart Travel, Green Heart Shop, and Green Heart Transforms. And I'm going to stop there because I want to welcome you to the call. Hi, Emanuel.
Hi there. Well, thank you for inviting me on the program. It's an honor to be here and a pleasure to be speaking with you.
Thank you. I don't know if you remember, I do have a picture of us that I took 2 years ago at the gala. So I introduced myself at that point. I said, I need a picture with you. So it was up on Facebook 2 years ago. So I admired your work, and I had to support the organization. So let's talk about what inspires you. You know, you've been around a long time, and what inspired you initially, and what keeps you motivated today?
Well, fortunately, I think I was somewhat blessed in that I felt inspired from a very early age. And sometimes I think just being alive and being part of this incredible process of evolution seems to me to be plenty of inspiration in of itself. But really, I'm inspired by doing my part to make the world a continually better place and assure the future of the generations to come. And I think that's the calling we all have, is to do our part to really improve conditions and create opportunities for the future of humankind. So I find that to be plenty of inspiration and seem to never lack for it. It's a kind of groundswell of opportunity as far as I can see, just the fact that we're here in this incredibly important time in history and able to play an important role in it.
That's wonderful. But okay, so why don't you tell people about the work you're doing, because it is so expansive and it encompasses different areas. So I'd love for people to know what you are actually doing.
Yeah, I'd be glad to comment on that. Green Heart is primarily a cultural exchange organization. Many years ago, I was looking for what we might call right livelihood, which for me was really trying to find a business that I could engage in that would do the most good for humanity with possibly a lesser amount of effort. And I was always familiar with cultural exchange, having grown up with it. We had exchange students in my home when I was in high school. I was an exchange student myself, so I knew the incredible value of these types of programs. And so I first, in 1985, founded 2 organizations, both in Spain and the United States, and began organizing and facilitating cultural exchange programs. And that went very well. It's an incredible opportunity for participants, for host families, for everyone involved, that really transforms lives. And so that's what we've been our primary operation for 31 years now. We have over 10,000 participants annually. We have 4 different designations from the United States Department of State to issue visas for cultural exchange programs. So that continues to grow and go very well. But
Is it
over
limited to an age, or is there a group that you're particularly interested in having? And what's the philosophy of the program? I mean, I heard some of this when I came to the gala, but I think people need to hear a little bit more about what you're doing.
Well, the philosophy of the program really is to help people broaden their own perspectives and their worldviews, to understand other cultures personally and closely, and as a result of gaining an appreciation for other cultures, I think we gain a deeper understanding of our own. And so it's really the sharing of different worldviews and perspectives with people from other lands, or for Americans traveling abroad. And that in and of itself, and the challenges of living abroad, learning different languages, adapting to different cultures, is extremely character building, and contributes to all of this. So that's the essence of the program. As far as the ages go, really throughout Greenheart we have quite an extensive array of programs, but we have a camp that goes down to 10-year-olds, and we've had on some of our independent homestay programs 80-year-old participants. So really all ages are pretty much encompassed here, but primarily we work with the age range of, let's say, 15 to 28-year-olds. That's where most of our visa designations fall, and those are age restricted. So the vast majority of our participants are in that age range.
Okay, great. So can we talk a little bit about the Greenheart Shop?
Be glad to talk about the shop. Yeah, we've been trying to diversify over the last decade, and fair trade was always something that interests me when I first heard about it, and I was drawn to the idea that we do need to offer gifts in the world, but they should be done with making sure that fair wages and the environment are taken into consideration in the production of gifts of this nature. So fair trade really looks after the artisans, making sure that they have proper working conditions wherever they may be, and that they're paid a reasonable wage, and that the products they used are properly sourced with respect to the environment. So the Greenheart Shop offers fair trade, eco-friendly gift items and tableware. We have a retail shop in Chicago in Old Town, and we also have a wholesale line called Sobre Mesa, where we sell to other retailers. We have about 500 clients around the nation that buy some of our wholesale line.
Okay, so who gets to go shopping in all these wonderful places around the world? Is that you? Do you go with your family and pick these things out?
Well, I wish, but I really don't have that much time. So we have a very capable, dedicated staff at the Greenheart Shop, and they are the ones who usually get to take the trips. We work primarily with Peru, Guatemala, Mexico, Tunisia, India. These are the main countries. I would say those are the top 5. But our shop staff gets to make all those nice trips. But they can be challenging trips too. We have one client in the Amazon rainforest that provides us with sustainable wood products, and when our staff went down there, they had to take a road trip over the Andes and down across rivers and into the Amazon, and it was kind of rainy season there, so they actually handed them a snorkel as the truck was about to cross one river and said, just in case the water gets a little high.
That would be challenging. I don't think I'd like that part of it.
Yeah. So some of the trips aren't quite as comfortable and as they might sound, but it's certainly worth the effort.
Okay, that's fabulous. And now, is this money that you raise sustaining the rest of your organization? I'm curious. Does this help promote your other developmental and social transformation programs, or is this a standalone?
Yeah, well, we are a not-for-profit organization, so I think that's important to note here. And, a lot of people, when they hear the word not-for-profit, they misunderstand what that means. Because not-for-profits basically need to have a mission, and their activity needs to fulfill the mission. But that doesn't mean that the programs or products that they produce can't generate a profit, as long as the profit is used to reinvest in fulfilling the mission. So we've been very successful over the years in doing just that. Some of our programs and activities occasionally do leave some bottom line resources, and then we reinvest it in developing other areas of the company. So, cultural exchange has, we've, over the course of 31 years, been very successful in managing those programs, and it's given us the opportunity then to develop these other branches, which are Greenheart Travel, the Greenheart Shop, and Greenheart Transforms.
Well, why don't you tell us about the rest of those things?
Okay. Yeah, well, we've talked a little bit about the shop.
Right.
Greenheart Travel is really cultural exchange programs as well, but that's programs for Americans to travel abroad. We've focused primarily on volunteer and work opportunities. So our main clients are Americans usually in their 20s who want to live abroad, have an experience working perhaps. So we've developed some really wonderful programs. Teaching English abroad is our number one seller, and it's a great opportunity. A lot of people come to us because we do find them a paying job in countries around the world and set up the arrangements for them so that people can actually go and live in Colombia or Korea or Chile or many places around the world and have a job.
Is this a short term or like 6 weeks, a month, a year?
They will vary, but usually we want some kind of minimum guarantee. So it's more like a year minimum, because they have to be qualified, accepted. A lot of these programs are sponsored by government agencies in the countries because they need native English speakers to help their people learn the language better. So they're willing to work with us if we give them qualified candidates with a certain time commitment. So it's usually something that lasts at least a year.
Who pays for this? Is this something that you've worked with other people, or does the person who wants to go there pay you to set this up? Just curious how this works.
Yeah, well, all these programs vary a great deal. Most of our programs, we do charge a fee. Some of these work programs, though, the fee is very small because if we're working with a government that wants the participants to come, they will help provide some of the funding as well. So it can vary enormously from a very small fee sometimes for teaching English abroad to more substantial sums if we're talking about a private school program or something in Australia or New Zealand. Just kind of depends on the nature of the program itself.
Okay. Can you just tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you've faced over the years? Is that, you've been in existence a long time and things change. And what have been some of the challenges that you've faced over this period of time? And how have you overcome them?
Well, I always say that the best way to be prepared for any challenge is to have really high quality products or services. And in any times of challenge, downturns, recessions, things like that, the best will always prevail. So I think the best guard against any kind of challenges the world may throw at us are to be well prepared and be of the highest quality that we can possibly be to begin with. So really facing challenges starts in the very beginning of setting up your operations and making sure that you're giving the best service you can. And of course one has to be flexible, open, ready to adapt to the public's changes in minds and destinations. Fortunately, in our cultural exchange programs, we have participants from 95 countries and 250 partner organizations around the world. So that gives us a lot of diversity and flexibility where, if some countries right now, Brazil is going through rather rough times. They've historically been one of our most important clients, but the economy is suffering there, so we're seeing less Brazilians come, but Asia is going strong, and so we can always compensate some of the demand by having such a worldwide representation, so that helps too. But also, I think it's important to anticipate change and see the way things are going and try to have services in the works, ahead of time, because a lot of this takes a long time to develop as well. So it's really having a vision of a broad, diverse range of programs and being able to develop them in a timely fashion.
With your vision and as it's grown, is it a board decision? Is it more your vision? How has that worked? And how do you get people on your board? And how have you maintained quality people to continue to work with you?
Well, it's a combination of working with our board. I'm the founder and president of the organization. My wife is the CEO, Laura Rose, and she and I have been together for nearly 25 years, and she has been very instrumental in helping build everything we do and caring for it along the way. And she takes care more of the day-to-day operations, where I try and look into the development and diversity of things. We try and choose a board that shares our vision and our mission and wants to implement that as well, so that I feel like our board and ourselves, we're very much on the same page about what we want to accomplish and how we want to see it done. So it's more, we're looking for, always board members who can bring something to the table and help support us, whether it's understanding of programs or development possibilities or their own particular vision. But we're certainly grateful for the different board members that have served us over the years and dedicated their time and their own vision to the process. So it's a mutual flow of understanding between the board and ourselves.
Okay. Do you have any tips for people who are starting an organization? What should they be thinking if they want to start a nonprofit? How can they begin the process? What are some of your ideas?
Yeah. Well, the thing about a nonprofit is obviously there aren't investors and no shareholders and no owners. So it's really impossible to sort of raise capital. So either to start a non-for-profit, either you have to have a viable business plan, a product or service you can offer with a mission that will produce enough income to pay for itself, or you have to be reliant on fundraising and donors, or a combination of the two. So, getting started is a little bit tricky in that regard. Over the years, we have operated primarily on a standard business model. We charge for our services, and we try and facilitate them with the highest quality possible, and cover our costs from the fees we charge. More recently, we've begun fundraising as well, so that we can provide more scholarships. And I think this is a really important aspect of what we're doing, because there are all kinds of people who deserve these opportunities and may not be able to afford them as well, particularly in the instance of our Green Heart Camp for young people here in the Chicago area. So my advice to someone wanting to establish a non-for-profit is you've got to have something that's going to give you economic sustainability, a founder donor, or enough contacts to raise money, or preferably a product or service that will fit into the organization's mission and fit with that can generate enough income to sustain itself, or a combination of all of those, really.
That's fabulous. So I just want to bring up, we had talked just for a minute about Green Heart Music, and what happened with that? Because that was part of your dream and your mission. So could you talk about that for a second?
Sure. Well, we do have an associated branch called Green Heart Music. We've worked a lot in Spain throughout the years. I've actually been a resident of Spain most of my adult life. We have an environmental center on the island of Ibiza in Spain, and then we also, in 2003 and 2004, set up a music company called Green Heart Music, with the idea of giving young recording musicians an opportunity to share their talents. And we mainly wanted to promote nature-inspired music as part of our environmental theme. So that's what we've been doing. Unfortunately, 2003, 2004 was just about the time when the music industry changed drastically, and music became available virtually free online, and people stopped buying standard CDs. So, finding a way to make music pay for itself over the last decade has certainly been a bit of a challenge for everyone in the industry. But we're sticking with it because it's, music is really inspiring. It's always inspired me throughout my life. It moves people emotionally. Sound is part of our life. It's the wave patterns of the universe, so it needs to be there, and it needs to inspire people. So it's something we continue to pursue, even if it's not one of the sectors of what we do that generates a great deal of income, but it's more the love of the art, I would say, that keeps us going on that.
Would you talk just a little bit about your center, your environmental center there? Well, I'd love people to know a little bit more about it and what you're doing there.
Sure. The environmental center is called the Casita Verde in Spanish, which is the little green house translated. And we really first set it up 1999, 2000. It's been supported in part. We have a foundation in Spain called the Foundation for the Future, which we also operate, and it's also been supported by Green Heart International. It's on this island of Ibiza, and really it's totally self-contained as far as energy consumption goes. So everything is, all the energy is produced by solar or wind. Our main product there are aloe vera plants. And we use the aloe vera for juices and products for the skin. It's open every Sunday to the public. People come there, they get a tour of the property. We have permaculture exhibits, energy exhibits, and we give them a vegetarian organic lunch, provide some good Green Heart music. It's a very pleasant atmosphere for people to spend their Sunday and learn about alternative energy and how you can really run an operation that has zero impact on the environment, which ours does. So it's really providing a living example of what can be done with a little bit of effort in focusing on alternative energy permaculture products. And we're very grateful because we usually have a number of volunteers who live there year-round and help us operate the place. And it's really on the goodwill of many people interested in this project who come year after year to help us operate. So it's quite an inspiring story.
It sounds like a great model that we should be able to do right here in the United States somewhere, too.
Yes, well, it is, and we've thought a lot about doing one here in the United States. That's kind of still on the drawing board. So, yeah, it is, one has to get the land and find someone with the knowledge and determination to run it. Our director there, his name is Chris Dews. He's an Englishman, and he's been at this for all the years we've been running the center there and then some. So he's dedicated activist for environmental awareness. He has so much energy and so much vision. He's an extraordinary human being. So if I could clone Chris Dews and send him around the world, why, then we'd really have a success story.
Well, I know it's a success already. I mean, what I love is your model and how you're doing different things for cultural awareness and things like that. And it sort of leads me to, I think, which is more what is your legacy and vision, which is the global purpose movement. And if you could talk about that and how you see that in your life and transforming the world.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Well, really, from as early as I could remember, I felt like, I wanted to be a sort of spiritual philosopher and help people better understand what the purpose of the universe is and what our individual purpose of life is and what we're each doing here on the planet. In 2009, we created a division of Green Heart called Green Heart Transforms, which is really dedicated to promoting personal and social transformation. So we organize events, seminars.
I went to one of those,
workshops.
and it was fabulous. I went to an all-day one down in Lincoln Park. It was fabulous. Yeah. My favorite was the picture where you asked us to, what would you like to see the world like? And I still have that picture, and it's the photo. So, yeah, it was great.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you were there and participated in that. So, yeah, it makes a good reference that we actually are creating these things and getting them accomplished. And then more recently, over the last few years, out of our work with Green Heart Transforms, we've begun to initiate a collective of organizations working together, which we have called the Global Purpose Movement. And so it's a group of organizations designed to share ideas and resources, support each other, work together, so that we all don't have to reinvent the same thing maybe someone else down the street is doing, that we can kind of synchronize and fuse these energies into one global movement. And, purpose is really, for me, the number one word of the day. You know, Aristotle once said that a life without purpose isn't worth living. And today we have so many books coming out about purpose and what it does for your life. And there are now medical studies showing that purpose greatly reduces one's risk of heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, all kinds of stress. And it really boils down, do we have a purpose in our life? Do we understand it? And are we implementing that purpose? So the Global Purpose Movement is really to help people find their purpose, find a way to contribute to it, and become active with making their purpose manifest in life. And of course, the overall purpose here we're talking about is really raising consciousness, helping us all understand that we're one global community working together in a spirit of cooperation and trust and sharing of resources with respect for everyone on the planet and above all the planet itself, and safeguarding our ecosystem and the precious life on Earth for the generations to come. So it's a huge purpose, and this is the biggest, most critical historical moment in human history to make sure that we get that job done and we make this world a safe, peaceful, purposeful place to live. And that's what we're trying to do our best to serve and support.
What is one suggestion you have for people who don't know their purpose? What would you tell them? How should they begin?
Well, I think first thing they really need to do is perhaps better understand themselves, their own view on life. I think it's really critically important to feel on a very deep level that our individual lives have meaning and that we are called here to fulfill that meaning. And if one doesn't feel that, I think they need to seek it out. This can be done with, depending on one's needs, maybe some psychological work or joining a support group. Meditation is a wonderful way to get in touch with your inner spirit. But really, coming to the basic understanding that we have a soul, we have a process, we have a purpose on Earth, and we need to get in touch with that and then figure out what our own talents are and the best way we can use them to contribute to that. So oftentimes it's helpful for people to associate themselves with some kind of activist group or people who are doing something to help the environment or the educational system or social services. There's so many different ways, being a camp counselor, but I think it's most important to be socially interactive with something like this, because I think that helps everyone get more immediate feedback. The moment you help someone and you see a young person get a smile on their face when there was none, that gives you the kind of energy and spirit you need to carry on. So I always encourage people to just find an activity, get out there, volunteer, be part of it, and little by little trust in this process of our inner life that will make itself manifest as time goes on. If you trust in it and if you follow it, then it will self-guide you as to how to best play your role in
Right.
And
That's one of the reasons I wrote The Creative Activist. When I did that, that's 36 stories of different people doing different things based on the theme of what's the legacy you'd like to leave, courage, being a role model, an example, setting in a good example, bold vision, creativity. And each story has 3 personal development questions and then a take action step. So that right there you are starting that journey into who am I, how do I want to serve in this world, what is my purpose, and then taking it a step further in being that role model and then connecting in the outer world, because it is an inside job first and then it goes out into the bigger world.
mm-hmm.
I think that's really key. I want to ask you, you are working, you've been a writer and you've written blogs and you're working on a book. So if you want to talk about, I'd love people to know a little bit about your process of writing, and when you get stuck, what have you done to get unstuck?
Yeah, well, that is the key question here. Well, that has changed a lot over the years. I've really never had a problem writing in and of itself. It's more what I'm writing and what the content and quality thereof is about. When I was a young man, I used to write volumes of stuff that was absolutely worthless, but it was fun doing it, I guess. These days, my main problem is just finding the time. I think to write, one really needs to set aside a minimum of sort of 3, preferably 4 hours, in a nice, calm, silent atmosphere. I often find that it can take me, a while, half hour to an hour, just to get into the flow of it. There's so many distractions in life. Our mind is always active with other ideas. So it takes a little while to get it going. But I think patience, trust in yourself, just sit down, begin to think about what it is you want to say, and start working with it. And the words will begin to come slowly at first, but it always seems to have an energy of its own, and then you can build on that, and then at a certain point you get the thoughts faster than you can actually write. I often find that I end up just making kind of bullet point notes of where it's going so that I can go back to that in the next writing. And I always try and leave off with a few more ideas ahead of myself, so that the next time I sit down, it's so much easier to get back into it, because I've got a few points still there where I knew I needed to go next. So that leaves a very easy entry path into picking up the thread of your thoughts.
Oh, that's great. We're starting to run out of time, so I want people, though, to know how they can get a hold of you and find out more information.
Well, I have a website. It's EmanuelKuntzelman.org. So if they can learn to spell my name, that's probably the biggest challenge with that. But on my website, I have blogs, and you can sign up to receive my monthly newsletter and send me some thoughts, and that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. I'm here in Chicago at Greenheart International, so people can call our line and contact us that way as well.
Well, thank you so much, Manuel. I so appreciate the time you've given us, and you've given us so much information to think about. And to our listeners, take some notes. Think about 3 ideas that might apply to your life right now. So if you haven't thought about what is your purpose, think about what it is right now that you can do to start finding out who you are and what it is you want to leave in this world and how you want to make a difference. There's so much richness in this conversation. So take some notes and make a commitment to yourself that you're going to follow through on one of those ideas today. This is Ray Luskin of The Creative Activist, and may you all have a beautiful day and know that you, one person, can make a difference. Thank you so much for being our guest today, Emanuel.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, and the message you're giving is critically important. So I do hope all your listeners can find their purpose and put it into action.
Thank you. I so appreciate it. Good night, everybody. Bye.